Good day, grade 4. Welcome to our asynchronous class. Kindly watch this lesson, for this will be included in your long test. Last week, we talked about plant adaptation. Now, what comes to your mind when you hear the word adaptation? Mhm. Adaptation is a trait that helps an organism to survive in its changing environment. So, just like animals, plants have their basic structures that are essential for them to survive. Now, let's have a quick recap about the body structures that helps plants survive in their environment. Here are the basic anatomy of a plant. Let's start from the roots. Now we have here our root system. The parts of a plant that are above the ground are called shoot, while the parts that are under the ground are called roots. Very good. The first part of our root system is the main root. We call this the primary root. Now, this root is directly connected to your stem. These small roots that extends from your main or primary root are called lateral root. And then these hairy structures are called root hairs. We have our root tip and lastly our root cap. Those are the basic parts of our root system. Roots are very important to plants. Roots support and anchor plants into the soil. Plants absorb water and minerals from the soil. Some plants store the food they produce in their roots. The roots of a plant are adapted to the plant's environment. Let's talk about the different fruit types. First, we have the fibrous roots. Next, we have the taproot. And lastly, we have the aerial roots. A monocotyledon or a monocot is a plant with only one seed leaf. Monocots has a fibrous roots system. Fibrous roots branch out in all directions. These roots efficiently absorb water near the ground surface. Fibrous roots also hold soil together to prevent soil erosions. Here are some examples of plants with fibrous roots. We have bamboo, palm tree, bean, rice crop, cactus, and tomato plant. A dicotyledon or a dicot is a plant with two seed leaves. It has a taproot system. A taproot is a thick main root that grows straight to the ground. Smaller roots grow out from the side of the main root. A taproot anchors a plant securely into the ground. Vegetables such as carrots have tap roots. Now here are some examples of plants with taproot system. First, we have a mango tree, cabbages, and turnips. Many rainforest plants, such as epiphytes, grow high on trees. They cling to the stems and branches of other big plants. They have aerial roots or above ground roots that are capable of absorbing moisture and nutrients from the air. Some above ground roots start on the plant stem and grow down into the soil. Here are some examples. We have ferns and orchids. Move on to the next part. We have the stem. Monocots have nodes, while dicots grow branches in their stem. Now here's a cross section of a stem. A stem has a system of tubes called xylem, through which water is transported from the roots to the upper parts of the plant. A stem also has a system of tubes through which food may move toward the lower part of the plant, and this system of tubes is called phloem. Again, the system of tubes which water is transported from the roots to the upper parts of the plant is called xylem, while the system of tubes through which food may move toward the lower part of the plant or to other parts of the plant is called phloem. Now, a stem or a trunk does many things for the plant or tree. It acts as support so that the plant can stand upright. Now, here are some parts of a trunk. First, we have the growth ring. The growth ring determines the age of a tree. Next, we have the pith. The pith transports nutrients throughout the plant and then store the nutrients within its cells. Next is the heartwood. It is the central supporting pillar of the tree. We also have the sapwood, which is the outer living layers of the secondary wood of trees, which engage in transport of water and minerals to the crown of the tree. So again, we have the central part, we have the heartwood, and the living part, the sapwood. Let's continue. We have the cambium. The cambium is the growing part of the trunk. It annually produces new bark and new wood. We also have the inner bark, that insulates against cold and heat and wards off insect enemies, and the outer bark that serves as protection of the tree from the outside world. It is continually renewed from within. It helps keep out moisture in the rain and prevents the tree from losing moisture when the air is dry. Some trees have protective structure, such as the one shown in the picture. Can you guess what part of a tree or a plant is pointy and sharp? That's right, we call it thorns. Some plants and trees have thorns. It is there to keep insects and other animals away from the tree or the plant. Let's move on to the next part. We have the leaves. Now, let's talk about the basic part of a leaf. These are the external part of a leaf. Let's start with, of course, you already know what the stem is. Let's start with the axil. The axil is the angle between the upper side of a leaf and the stem from which it grows. Next, we have the petiole. The petiole is the region of a leaf that connects the leaf blade to the stem. This is the petiole. Next, we have the leaf base. Here's the leaf base. The leaf base is the lowermost part of the leaf. It's meant for attachment. It acts as a leaf cushion. Next part is the leaf blade or the lamina. It helps the plant store materials and byproducts of photosynthesis. Next part is the midrib. The midrib gives the leaf support so it won't bend and break in half. Next, we have the venules and the vein. These parts provide structure, support, and channels for translocation of organic nutrients such as water and minerals. We also have the margin. The margin is the perimeter of the leaf between the apex and the base. And lastly, we have the leaf apex. It is the protruding part of a leaf. Alright, so the process wherein the leaves make food for the tree or for the plant is called photosynthesis. And the natural compound present in green plants that gives them their color is called chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is also called the green pigment. It helps plants to absorb energy from the sun as they undergo the process of photosynthesis. The stomata are small holes like pores on a leaf. It regulates gas exchange between the plant and the environment and control of water loss by changing the size of the stomatal pores. Let's move on to the next part. We have the flowers. Let's talk about the different parts of the flower. First, let's start with the sepal and the petal. Now, here's a picture of a gumamela or hibiscus. This part is called the petal. A petal attracts specific pollinators to the flower. Next, we have the sepal. What is a sepal? It is a defensive organ that encloses and protects the developing reproductive structure. The sepal opens when the flower blooms. Now let's move on to the male reproductive organ of the flower. Male reproductive organ of the flower is called the stamen. Now here's a close-up picture. We have the anther and the filament. Let's start with the anther. Teacher, what is an anther? It produces and disperses pollen. Again, the anther produce and disperse pollen. How about the filament? The filament carries the nutrients to the anther where the pollen develops. So again, it acts like a tube. Now let's move on to the female reproductive organ of the flower called pistil. Can you say it? Pistil. All right. So again, for the male, we have the stamen, and for the female, we have the pistil. Now here are the different parts of the pistil. First, we have the ovary. The ovary contains ovules which develop into seeds upon fertilization. The ovary itself will mature into a fruit. Next, we have the style. The style is this part. The style is the stalk of the pistil, also known as the pollen tube. Next part is the stigma. The stigma is this part. Stigma is a sticky knob at the top of the pistil where pollens are deposited. So again, the female reproductive organ of a flower is the pistil. It has the ovary, style, and the stigma. Now let's talk about some structures that help aquatic plants survive. Now there are also plants that grow in water environments such as ponds, paddies, rivers, lakes, and marshes. Now these plants are called what again? Grade 4? What do we call those plants? Very good. Aquatic plants or hydrophytes. Many aquatic plants are either totally or partially submerged in water. Other hydrophytes such as lotus and the water lily float on water. These plants have flat leaves that serves as floating structures. In some cases, aquatic plants have hairy or feathery root systems that enable them to absorb water continuously. The leaves require much water, so the roots should be capable of absorbing water. Grade 4, you may check out the wrap-up of main ideas on our Google Classroom stream or under classwork. You can just find it on the third quarter lesson materials. I also posted the third quarter long test pointers to review in Science 4. So till next time, thank you for listening. See you on Monday, grade 4.